prayed up. I'm ready. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to eat from God's word tonight. And I believe God has a word in season for every person. And in Acts 27, we find Paul, a prisoner on a ship, and in verses 20 it says, when neither sun nor stars appeared for many days and the storm continued raging, we finally gave up all hope of being saved. After they had gone a long time without food, Paul stood up before them and said, men, you should have taken my advice not to sail from Crete. Then you would have spared yourselves this damage and loss. But now I urge you to keep up your courage. Tap your neighbor, say, keep up your courage. Keep up your courage. Don't lose hope. Don't lose hope. Because not one of you will be lost. Somebody shout about that. You might have been going through a storm, but you will not go down. The enemy thought he tripped you up this year, but you're still standing. You're here on the 31st of December 2019, giving your God a praise. You will not go down. Keep up your courage. But wait, just relax. Just relax. It's only the word of God. I'm trying to get... Only the ship will be destroyed. Last night, an angel of the God of whom I belong and who I serve, because to know him is to serve him. To know him is to serve him. Stood beside me, because he's a present God, and said, do not be afraid, Paul. You must stand trial before Caesar, and God has graciously given you all the lives of those who sail with you. So keep up your courage, men. For I have faith in God that it will happen. Say it again. It will happen. The word God gave you, it will happen. There's peace over your life. It will. I don't care what the devil's been telling you, but it will happen. It will happen. Just as he told me. God has given me a word, and I want to say to some people in the room, it had to be this way. It had to be this way. You've been wondering, you've been asking God, why? And God's saying tonight, it had to be this way, because he's got you. He's got you. He's not nervous. He's not scared. He's not scared. He's got you in the palm of your hands. Can we give God praise that it happened this way? And it had to happen this way. Come on, high five 2 or 3 people around and say, it will happen in your life. And you can take your seats. Thank you so much, team. It will happen. It will happen. Many of you guys have been traveling over this festive season. And how many know that when you set your GPS, you head in that direction, but somehow, I don't know how many has had this happen to you, but somehow you get lost with the GPS, and you were intending to head somewhere, but you ended up somewhere else. Am I talking to some real people in this place? You had a vision for your life. You had a picture about your life. And this is applied to all ages, because once you start believing, dreaming, and seeing life around you, you begin to picture what life should be for you. But God gave me a word that oftentimes we picture what God needs to do instead of allowing him what he wants to do. I want to break this down, because we get so fixated about the picture in our mind of what it should be. And so we try to get God to do what we want to do instead of allow him to what he intended to do in the first place. So now this is Paul. This is Paul on this journey. And I don't know about you, but if you got lost, you will relate directly to Paul, and you had nothing to do about it. But Paul was heading to Italy. He was in prison for the thing that he didn't do. He was accused for something he didn't do. But here's he in a storm, about to be shipwrecked on a thing that he didn't have any involvement in. Is there anybody in the room that has been in a situation that you had no hand in it? You were just on the boat. You were just there as a casualty of this shipwreck, and God says to you right now in this place, I've got you. I've got you. But we are so obsessed with the picture, because here's the thing. I don't know about you, but when you grow up, if you have kids in the room, you'll probably agree with me that your kids will need a reason to do the dishes. Your kids will need a reason to clean their room. Your kids will need a reason to do anything. Mommy, Daddy, give me a reason. Why do I need to do it now? Especially if they say, do it now. And then you say, I'm going to do it now, which is a South African thing for means I'm going to do it later, but it's not really later. It's like really later, so it's now. So it's like, it's not now. The now makes it feel like it's going to happen soon, but it's not going to actually happen soon. And so he's like, God is saying right now to you're saying, I'm going to embrace it now. God's saying, embrace it now. Where your life is now doesn't require a reason. Because let me talk to you a little bit about the reason. We need a reason for everything that happens in our life. And the reason why we need a reason is because we've pictured it, and now it's gone off course. Now it's happened a different way. Now it's not planning out. Now the dreams are not being fulfilled. Now the promotion didn't come on time. Now the family's falling apart. Now the marriage isn't looking good. I need a reason. Why does it happen? Why is it happening? And this is what's happening on the boat. That Paul knew the reason why he was going, and everybody could understand, but he didn't get hung up in the reason. Because the thing about the reason is you'll get stuck. The thing about the reason is you will stay wondering in your mind, if it was some other way, would life be better? You will stay in a fantasy world within your mind. And some of you have been through seasons. Now this sermon, I'm just a disclaimer, is not for anybody in this room that has had a flyer of a year. Oh, that just blew over people's heads. It was supposed to be a joke. Sorry. That was supposed to be a joke. If you had an awesome year, this is not for you. But if you've been through something, God is saying, I don't need a reason. So now this is where the parents get involved. If your kid acts up funny, they tell you, why do I need to do it? You can use your parental authority and say, because I'm your father. And I feel like somewhere along the line as adults, in our faith, we're still like our kids, needing a reason for what we are going through. But your Father up in heaven is saying, I don't need to give you a reason. Just trust me. Trust me. Because this is the thing with Paul. He's here, he's expanding the church. He's sowing into Timothy. He's building Timothy up. He's doing all the right things. He's serving. He's given up his life for the gospel. And here's he's stuck on a boat with 260 people, prisoners and crew, in a shipwreck because they didn't want to listen to what he said. Has anybody ever been in a situation where you had no involvement with, but now you're stuck in a position, now you're stuck in a place, and now you're looking for a reason? But I look at Paul's response here. He didn't need a reason. He needed a revelation. I'm about to give you a word because you were looking for a reason, but God gives revelation. And the thing about revelation is it's found in God. It's not found in people. And that's why Paul could come to the people and say, the God whom I believe in and whom I serve has told me that this ship is about to break. The ship is about to go down. But you're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. Someone needs to hear that in the room. You're going to be all right. Tap your neighbor and say, you're going to be fine. You're just going to be so fine. You're going to be all right. I know you were panicking. I know you were I know. But you're going to be all right. You need a revelation. Put up verse 22 of verse 27. Now I urge you to keep up your courage. Because when you have a revelation, you can see things beyond what is happening in the natural. I mean, this guy is telling them in the midst of a storm. Our first verse was that they would not see sun or any sky. It's a storm. And he's like, keep up your courage. And it's like blowing around. He's like, keep up your courage. Like you got to picture this. I don't know if my imagination is too far, but man, they in a bit of a predicament. And Paul's like, keep up your courage. You're gonna be all right. You're gonna be all right. Because not one of you will be lost. Only the ship will be destroyed. Now the first part is good. The second part is what we get hung up in. Because some of us put our faith in our boats instead of our gods. Some of us put our faith in our boats instead of God. Some of us put our hope in our boat. That rhymes, it sounds nice, but it's not really good because it's going to fail you all the time. And I don't know about you, but you've lost some things along the way. You've had some breakups. You've had some lost family. You've lost. You've had some things that have gone, that have broken in front of you. You've had some things destroyed. You've had your peace. You've had your joy. You thought you'd never be in depression, but now you're in depression. You thought you'd never go this far. You thought your family would never be in this. You thought your kids would not end up in where they are right now, but now look at you now. Where is your trust? Don't put it in your boat. Put it in your God. Paul had a revelation that it's not about my boat. It's not about what my earthly possessions. It's not what I feel like I have control over. Those things will fade away, but God remains the same. He's yesterday, today, and forever. Is there anybody that believes that your God is who He says He is? So take courage. You've lost some things. You've lost some things. God's not denying that. But you're going to be all right. And some of us are stuck in the reason because we're focused on the boats. We're needing a reason. But God, I've been faithful. But God, I've been serving you. But God, I pray every day. God, like you go through all your holy checklists, you know, like where did I slip up? Where did I slip up? And you're needing this reason to fix the reason. But God is saying, I've got you will miss the revelation when you're fixated on your boats. You will miss that God was with you all along when you focus too much on what you've lost. Consider the fact that you're sitting right here on this eve of New Year's, and you're still breathing, and you're still alive, and you can still choose to be joyful. You know, joy is a choice. And some of you have been putting your hope and your joy in boats that are never meant to carry it. And now they're broken and now your joy is lost. They were never meant to carry it. Take it back. Take it before you leave this year. Take back your joy. Take back your peace. Take back, oh man, I feel like you need to tell some people because you thought the answer to your solution was more boats. You thought your answer to the solution was your boat staying intact. But God's saying it's not about the boat, it's about me. If you trust me, if you have a revelation about me, you will see that I'm there all along in the midst of the storm. Who are you focusing on? You don't need a reason. Paul had a revelation, so he stood in the midst of a storm and he said, no matter what's going on around me, no matter what I've been through this year, no matter what I lost this year, I'll take courage. We're going to make it. Come on, tap someone, say, you're going to make it. You're going to make you're just not going to make it. You're going to run into 2020 with your head held high, with peace and joy and faith in your heart. Because we all have boats, and we made it our safe place. We made it the thing that governs our life. We made it the thing that I'm guilty of this too, and this is why daily devotion. That's why you say, I'll give you your daily bread, because man shall not live on bread alone. When you want to live on the bread of this earth, you will realize you were still hungry. You thought you were full, but you need a daily bread, a daily revelation of who He is, in your life. Because seasons come and go. Seasons come and go. And so now they're good. They know they're going to make it. They're like, we're going to crash, but we're going to be all right, guys. This Paul is bald, by the way. So he was like, this bald man right here told us we're going to be all right. His God said we'll be all right. And some of you in this room have had a season in a season. Some of you had a season, and then you thought that was, like you thought like that was enough. And you caught the revelation, okay, cool, God is using this. God is using this to test my patience. My husband just spent all our cash, now I have to deal with that. My kids are acting funny, now I've got to deal with that. And then in the story, we jump into chapter 28. And this is when they're about to crash into the shore. It says, once safely on shore, we found out that the island was called Malta. I think you can go one more on, just to give context. The islanders showed us unusual kindness. They built a fire and welcomed us all because it was raining and cold. Now, that word islanders over there is very it's light, but the original text means barbaric. They were foreigners. They were unfamiliar. So Malta means refuge, but to you it's an unfamiliar place. So now you've been through your storm, but you landed on Malta. So this Bible of mine has there's no maps here at the back. They decided to fill it with devotions, but I got one of my dad's Bibles, and they got these maps, and I never use them to preach, but I just found this so interesting that they actually show you Paul's route, and so Malta. I want to show you this. This was insane. So Paul's important. Paul is the spokesman for God, for the Gentiles. Paul is going to Caesar. Paul is on his way on a mission. He's got his GPS locked in. He knows where he needs to go. And then they land up in Malta. Now, I want you to look over there. So this is Paul, so that's where the sea went. And then right over there, do you see that? That's Malta. Do you see that? You guys can't see it at the back. You guys, you guys, Gene, do you want to see this? Look at this. So that's where they were going. It was hectic. It was storms. That's where he says, be courage. The storms are going on. And then right over there, do you see that? You have to squint. Do you wear glasses? I don't know if you wear glasses, but I wear glasses. I wouldn't have seen that without my glasses, and it says Malta. Look how small. I want to ask a question. What is Paul doing on Malta? Have you ever felt that what you're going through is so insignificant? See, Malta is small, but Paul's an important person. So what could it possibly mean in God's his plan that someone as important as Paul is doing on a small little island called Malta? Has anybody ever been to Malta is what I'm asking. Has anybody been to a place that you didn't expect to place? It wasn't in your GPS, but you ended up there anyway, and now you're wondering, how on earth did I get to Malta? Has anybody been to Malta? Oh, okay, cool. This is a holy church right here. Your lives are awesome. I've been to Malta. Malta is a place that you just don't go, you bypass. Malta is a place you weren't supposed to end up. Malta is a place that you thought, what am I doing here? Because God will use the small, insignificant things to push you into your greatest significant moments. You thought where you are is insignificant. You thought what you were doing now in this season, in this moment, where you ended up, that was not part of your plan, that was not part of your trip and your schedule, that you just landed up here, and now you're here in Malta. Malta is the place that you never planned, but you're here. See, the wind was controlling the boat, but God was controlling the wind. And you thought that your God left you. And you thought that your life was insignificant because you're on an insignificant island. But Malta is a place that you did not expect. You ended up, your life ended. You thought, you watched other parents' kids go crazy, but now your kids are acting crazy. You thought your marriage wouldn't end up like that people's marriage, but now you're in this position. You thought you were supposed to get that promotion, but now you didn't, and someone else that didn't deserve it. You thought that if you text that girl, you would get a ring back, but you didn't get, so now you're still 34 years and single. That's your Malta right there. That's someone's Malta right there. Because Malta is a place that you didn't expect. But God was guiding the wind all along. I didn't say that He did it, but He will use it. I did not say that He caused the pain and the hurt, but He's going to use it for your good. He's going to use it to get you to where He needs you to be. You need Malta. Look at your person and say, look at the person next to you, say, you need Malta. You thought you didn't need Malta. You need Malta, man. You need Malta. And then, so you're on Malta right now. I want to take you on a journey. You're on Malta right now. You've been through your season, and now you're in a season of a season in Malta. Look at the next verse. This was so Paul gathered a pile of brushwood and he put it on the fire because this guy was important, and here out of 260 people he decides to make a fire as well. He was just so servant. And then out of the blue, it's almost like comical, a viper driven out by the heat fastened itself to his hand. Now come on, this dude's been through so much. And you like, come on, man. You thought that what you were going through was enough already. Now let's just backtrack. Paul's stuck on a ship, imprisoned for something he didn't do. He was in a storm that he did not have any involvement in. In fact, he told them, do not take the ship out from Crete because we're going to end up in a storm. Then he's shipwrecked. Then he's cold. Now there's a viper stuck to his hand. Come on, you got to look at this and you got to say, man, God, like shame, man. You could have at least prevented the viper from coming out. And you try to make the people warm. You try to you try to help somebody. Now you got bitten back. On an island called Malta. On this insect, Paul, are you serious? Out of the heat, it fastened itself in your hand. And then, watch this. When the islanders saw the snake hanging from his hand, they said to each other, this man must be a murderer. For though he escaped from the sea, the goddess justice has not allowed him. This is why you do not put your faith in people. Because they will stand at a distance and judge you before they know you, before they even know anything about your life. And now Paul has to decide, they were looking for a reason. Do you see them? This man must be, oh no, there's a viper. Whoa, what did he do? He probably killed somebody. Reason. Paul had a revelation. Now the reason of those on the outside is attacking his revelation. You need to be careful who you allow into your life in 2020. I've been laughing at some people at the memes. Me and Barrett's been laughing at the memes and saying, I'm leaving those people behind. You know, every year you're leaving people behind. But I'm telling you, leave those people behind. You don't need them in your life. You don't need them. They will just judge you before they even know you. Because what you put your hope in is what determines your revelation. So now if my boat, if the people around me is who I put my hope and my peace and my joy and my sense of of identity of who I am in Christ. If they telling me who I am, I'm here to tell you, you need to tell yourself who you are in Christ. Don't listen to the voices around you or what they're saying about you. God is for you. Who can be against you? You are a new creature in Christ. The old is gone. The new is here. And then watch this. They just threw it in. It was part of my notes. So this part of the sermon is where I tell you that you wrote Jeremiah 29 on your coffee cup. But I looked at it again and I said to myself that many times when I get anxious and lose hope and lose the ability to trust God is when I change, for I know and He knows the plans. But it just says, for I know, this is God speaking. You are not involved in His plans. You're not there, all right, cool, God, I need you to, when we sail there from Crete, I need you to just bypass Malta and then sail me straight with the wind. For I know the plans I have for you. So your job is not to draw up the plans, but to draw up your heart, to trust in a God that designed the plan that is far better than whatever you could ever think or imagine. That's what His Word says. So now you're trying to figure out what is the plan, what is the plan, what is the plan. Now the plan doesn't work out. Now you need a reason. What's the reason? What's the reason? Now you're losing your mind and no one wants to be around you because you're just moody and you're just anxious and you can't love people because you're just full of regret, full of hurt. Now you can't even trust people because people hurt you because they were your hope, and now you put your hope in them, now you put your peace in them, now you're just a moody person, now you're judging everybody because people judge you, because when you gossip about people and judge other people, it's oftentimes a reflection of how you feel about yourself instead of how you look at yourself through the lens of who God says you are. Where is your hope? You need a revelation. Paul was not fazed by what they were giving him. I mean, they're probably whispering, but Paul was hearing. That's why Luke, that wrote Acts, could write this down. They were judging Paul and saying he must be a murderer. But look at this. Look at the next verse in Acts 28. But Paul, this is not the right verse. It's the TSV. It's the Taylor Swift version. Haters gonna hate. Hate. But you gotta shake it off. Shake it off. Come on, you got to shake some things off in this moment right now. You got to shake some things off of your life because they've been hanging too long on your hand, and don't post about it. Don't put it on Facebook. Don't put it on your WhatsApp status. Leave it alone. Shake it off, man. When you allow it to sit too long on your hand, the venom will get inside of you. I almost named this message, I'm bit but not bitter. Because when you shake it off, you don't need to worry. Paul shook it off. He's like, what's this? What's this? Because he knew. His God said, you need to go stand trial before Caesar. When you know that you need to go to Rome, you can't die on Malta. You cannot die on Malta. When God gives you a revelation about where He wants to take your life to, you need not be fazed about the vipers that come out of the flames. God says, shake it off. Shake off discouragement. Shake off all the hurt. Shake off the rejection. Shake off the pain. You got to shake. Tap your neighbor, say, shake it off. Shake it off. Come on, you promise you're going to preach with me this evening. Shake it off. Because you've been leaving it too long on your hand. In fact, you got like 5, 6 vipers hanging there. You got to shake it off. You got to shake it off. Shake it off. Shake it off. Throw some sunlight liquid on you. So when the offenses come, you just slide off. You don't need to worry about people say, God says you are more than a conqueror. And you've been living to the level at the reason. The reason. Because you'll leave those things hanging on you. Because you're still wondering about the reason. Why is this even happening to me? Why? Why did they hurt me? Why did he break up with me? God, why did you have to take that loved one away from me? God, why did the divorce have to happen? God, why do we have to be stuck in debt? You will leave them there and it will get into your system, but you got to be like Paul and say, I've got a revelation from God, so I don't look at vipers, I shake them off. I shake them off. I shake them off. I shake them off. Because this is the response. When you have a revelation of God, you'll be able to have a response that looks Christ-like. You don't need to stoop down to the level of your disappointment. You don't need to live at the level of your rejection. You don't need to live at the level of the pain that people have caused you, that circumstances has got you in. You can stand tall above the fire, looking at a viper and shaking him off. I read that verse and I see a composed man. That man was so composed. He was just standing there. He's like, what's this? Shake it off. Shake it off. I believe God has something big for you in 2020. But you cannot go into 2020 with still vipers hanging on your hand. You got to shake it off. You need to get your joy back. You need to get your peace back. In fact, God says, I don't just give peace, I'm the God of peace. So if your God is the God of peace, you should look like you have peace in the midst of a storm, because you have a revelation of who your God is. I want to ask the question, do you know who your God is? Do you know who your God is? You're going into 2020 with a newness. And I love this. Because sometimes what you go through, because it had to be this way. That's what we said from the beginning. Our year, and years before, and everything that culminated to this moment had to be this way. Check out verse 6. They stood there. They get up, verse 6. 28, verse 6. I'll read it for you. The people expected him to swell up or suddenly fall dead. But after a long while, waiting a long while, seeing nothing unusual happen to him, they changed their minds and said, he must be a god then. So you're telling me that 1 minute he's a murderer, and now the next he's a god. That's why your hope in 2020 cannot be put on people. People are fickle. They say dumb things. Come on, people, we say dumb things. And we get hung up with these dumb things that are said about us. And they latch onto us. And now look at this. Leave the verse up on the screen. They're like, he must be a god. Because you don't know who's watching. Because you don't know who's watching when you're going through what you're going through. So when you shake it off, it not only helps you to move forward, but it gives courage to those around you that leans in and says, this must be something. There's something unusual with this person. Why? They expected you to be in a mental institution. They thought you were going to give up on your God. But look at you now. You're here on the 31st of December 2019, still smiling at a praise party. Whatever you've been through, they were waiting for you to die. They were waiting. They were watching. Waiting. The Bible says for a long time. They were waiting. It's like probably weird. Like Paul's like there still, like he shook it off long time. You've moved a long time after that you've forgiven people, but they still hung up and they still watching you from a distance. They're waiting. They thought you're gonna go down. God is saying what you're going through has an audience. There's people watching you. And the way you carry your life into 2020 will either cause you to push people away or bring people in. Because they were watching at a weird, he's there doing his thing by the fire. That was a hectic shipwreck, eh? Oh, boys, we made it. And that viper, well, what was up with that? And I just shook it off, man. Because I'm Paul, and I just shake things off. Because I got a revelation from God. I just shake things off. What was the reason? No, they said I was a murderer. And they just there. And they're waiting. Just like the people in your life are waiting for you to drop down. Just like the people around you are waiting for you to give up. Just like the enemy is waiting for you to give up on your God. But you need to shake it off. You need to shake it off because you got a revelation from God that you're gonna make it. Look at your neighbor and say, you're gonna make it. 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 You're all strong and courageous. You're strong and courageous. Paul was strong and courageous. He told him that on the boat. Don't lose hope. Don't give up. You're going through what you're going through, but don't give up. The boat's going to crash. We're going to lose that, but you're going to be all right. And when a viper jumps out, you just shake it back in the fire it came out. When people hurt you, you love them back. Do you know how to forgive? You shake back into the same fire it brought it out. Shake it back. And then something amazing happened. Because now he caught the attention of the islanders of Malta. And there was a chief. His name was Publius. And he saw. And in verse 7 it says, there was nearby a state who belonged to Publius, the chief official of the island, and he welcomed us into his home and showed us generous hospitality for 3 days. And in verse 8 it says, his father was sick, suffering from fever, dysentery. Paul went to see him, and after prayer, he placed his hands on him and healed him. Because what you're going through is many times not even about you. What you've been through might not even be, you're looking for a reason about why that happened to you. But why it happened wasn't even about you. See, this is a thing where generations come into place. That you have been through something. And I said this to my dad, that when he made the decision in his aunt's living room to leave everything and to pursue ministry and then meet my mom, and they fell in love and got married and they started our church in a little place called Woodstock. Woodstock is so tiny. When they got here, they got told that this is a preacher's graveyard. In fact, David's dad said their words to him as well. He said, how are you even surviving within Woodstock? Because it was so gang-stricken, drug-infested, prostitution on an all-time high. And yeah, this little church, 10, 12 people, had to go through 25, 26 years before my dad left. Hard work, toiling, so that I wanted to tell you this before, Mom, that what you and Dad went through was paving the way so that me and Stace can carry on the legacy of this church. And not just carry it on, but see it flourish. I want to say to some parents in the room that you have been through some things, the pain, the hurt, and it wasn't even about you. It was to set up your kids. Because watch this, Paul came to Publius' dad and he said, "You're sick. I believe in a God." And he placed his hands on Publius' dad. The same hand that is healing and that healed was the same hand that got bitten by a viper. God will use the very thing that pain and suffering is coming through. God will use it, not for yourself, for those around you. God will use the rejection. I know people left your life. I know your father wasn't there. I know your mother wasn't there. But God will use the pain and the hurt. God will use it. God will use it for His glory. And everything you've been through, God is saying, I'm not going to leave it just there. What you shook off has given you power to heal people around you. So now people that suffer rejection can heal when they get into your presence, because your God has brought you to a place of healing in your rejection. You have shook something off to allow God's power to flow through your life. What I'm saying is 2020 is going to look more like you releasing what God has already developed inside of you. You got to release what God has inside of you. And God is saying right in this moment, you've been through, it had to be this way. You had to face what you're going through. You had to feel the pain and the hurt. It had to. You're looking for a reason, but it had to be that way so that when you get into Publius' house, you can lay your hands. And God will use it. Because watch this. The next verse says, next verse, 29, 9. It said that the whole island came, and then Paul began to have a church. Publius had to turn his house into a church. He began to heal. Who can I heal? Who can I heal? Who can I heal? Who can I heal? This is the hand that got bitten, but now God has allowed me to heal and to take what I need to take. Here's the word. Here's the word for 2020. That God's about to release something in your life that you didn't even expect. That the place that you landed on that you weren't supposed to be on, that was not part of your plan, is going to be the very thing that God uses for His glory in 2020. His father was sick in bed. Go to verse 9. Well, they're still trying to get it. And the whole island gathered. And now I begin to step back as I look on this story. And I see why I had to go through what I went through. I don't need a reason now. I have a revelation that God is with me in and every storm that I go through, and that He will use everything for His glory. And every bit of pain, every bit of suffering that, because I've been to Malta, and I had to shake off some vipers. And now I can stand and preach about a God that carries you through your Malta. You thought that you needed Malta. You needed a place to land. Malta needed you. You needed to be on Malta. And God is about to do something in your life. Why don't you stand to your feet in this place? And God's speaking to some people that's been through some things. And God's speaking to you and reminded you of some deep hurt and deep pain that God wants to use within your new year. Because it was amazing as I thought this was where the sermon was going to end. And God says, read further. And in verse 10, it says, they honored us in many ways. And when we were ready to sail, when you are ready to move forward, when you are ready to enter into your new year, they furnished us with the supplies we needed. God says you're not leaving 2019 empty-handed. God said you're not leaving 2019 empty-handed. You've been through some tough waters. You've been through some deep hurt pain. But God has you in this moment to tell you that if you will shake off the need for a reason and grab hold of the revelation, you will take into 2020 what you needed all along. You will take into 2020, you will realize that the mission was supplied for in the first place. That what you're needing in 2020, you have in abundance. You don't need to worry about what has happened to you in the past. You will shake off, and God's about to restore it with joy. You will shake off, and God's about to restore it with hope. You're about to shake off, and God's about to restore it with peace. I feel God's so strong in this room because you got to receive it. This is God's moment in this place for your 2020, that you will shake it off and you will walk into the new year with bags full of supplies for your new year. You were doubting whether 2020 would even be the same. You were tempted with a skeptical mind, thinking it's just going to be the same as this past year and the year before. But God's saying, shake it off. Use what has come against you for my glory, and you will see the supply in your hand.